Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing our first Q&A for this week, leading up to the 11th episode for Fear the Walking Dead Season 4, The Code. In this one, we're going to give our thoughts, how we're feeling about Fear right now, whether or not we think the series has kind of lost its purpose. Alright, man, so I wanted to go ahead and do this video with you guys, namely to see how you guys are feeling about Fear the Walking Dead right now at this current point in time in the run for Fear. So Fear the Walking Dead, almost all the way through 4 seasons now. We're in the back half of Season 4. It's been a fun series. It's certainly been a series where it's hard to kind of pin down exactly what Fear is or is supposed to be, or what the overall purpose was or is of Fear. In Season 4, of course, we saw this whole soft reboot, and we're still kind of seeing that go through now. But at this point in time, right now during the series, it really feels like the series is just kind of, I don't want to say all over the place, but it just kind of feels like it's really lost its sense of direction, or it's lost its overall kind of purpose right now. And they've kind of played up to this a little bit in the sneak peek for episode 11 that I talked about in my video predictions video yesterday. If you guys didn't see that, I'll have it in the end screen video so you can watch that after this one. But just kind of, to get your guys' thoughts, how are you feeling about the series right now, and where do you think they're going with this? Like, where do you think they're going with Fear the Walking Dead? It's been renewed for a 5th year, so it's at least going to get that. And we'll see if AMC wants to do it past that. And it's going to be really tricky to kind of find out whether or not they're going to want to. I mean, I hope they'll continue with Fear. If not, they could roll the characters from Fear into The Walking Dead and have them travel to Alexandria and have them assimilated into the Walking Dead series, or whoever is alive at that point if they decide to do that, as we've kind of given our thoughts on a few times here. But I do feel like there's still, it's tough to say, like with regards to Walking Dead right now this year. With all the Rick news and all the stuff that's been happening with the original series, it's kind of questionable whether or not there's enough demand to continue to do Fear the Walking Dead in addition to the original Walking Dead series. So, I think the mid-season premiere for Season 4 got like 1.8 million U.S. viewers for that episode, which is one of the lowest, if not the lowest, rated episode or viewership for an episode of Fear the Walking Dead we've ever seen. Now it's middle of the summertime, that kind of deal. The Walking Dead also, is not, as popular as it was a couple years ago at the same time too. So it's really tricky to kind of see what they're doing with Fear here. Now, as we got to see in the introduction there for episode 10, and I noticed there, Lenny James's name comes up first. So it really looks like Fear the Walking Dead has kind of been taken from where it was at, prior to Season 3 with this reboot here in the first half of Season 4, and kind of given over to Morgan. We know this at this point. Like, it really feels like that's what they're kind of doing with it. And then Alicia's kind of number 2 for the show, and then you have Coleman Domingo and Luciana, the actress who plays her, and everybody else, kind of the newer characters in there afterwards. So they're kind of like there. But right now they're in disarray, so it's kind of equivalent to the second half of the original Walking Dead series in Season 4, where after Too Far Gone and the governor attacks, you have the group kind of spread out all over the place, and eventually they converge at Terminus at the end of that half. Fear the Walking Dead, even though like I had the idea that maybe what they would do is they would kind of mirror the original Walking Dead series in its overall path as things were going through, with Season 3 being kind of similar to Season 3 of the original Walking Dead, where you had like the governor and that, and the Season 3 had a pacing that was very similar in Fear to the Season 3 of The Walking Dead. Season 4 now, it does feel like there's a lot of parallels between The Walking Dead Season 4 with the governor attacking at the mid-season finale and that kind of stuff, and them losing the prison, to the Fear group losing the stadium, so you can kind of see that. So they're kind of in disarray right now, and the group does kind of have to come together and find its purpose. But I think that makes probably the most sense for Fear and what it looks like they're kind of doing. Some people thought that episode 10 here was like still from Season 4. And, I get that. Like, you get 2 characters out of kind of all the cast and crew that they have right now. Granted, in Fear, it's not that big of a cast. But in the second half of season 4 of The Walking Dead also, there wasn't that many characters either, but you had episodes like After, where you had kind of a Carl, Rick, and then Michonne finds them, and that kind of deal, and you had Daryl and Beth, and they were together, and you had that kind of thing going on there, and then eventually they found each other at Terminus, and they survived on through from there. So I'm kind of thinking right now for predictions, that's most likely what we'll probably see with Fear, is by the end of the season, by the end of season 4, the group will have found each other again, whether it is as a result of a group of villains that's out there, or whether they just kind of all come together and find a purpose. I do feel like the show kind of needs a purpose to go on further, and they need to decide what it's going to be and what it is. Is it going to be that the whole group is going to get together and try to go back to Alexandria? You can't really continue with having this spread out thing for too long. It's got to, this half, and then that's it. They got to come back. They got to come together, and they got to kind of find a group identity, which the Fear group did kind of have before in the prior seasons. Granted, they were split up at some points, but they had an overall kind of group identity. Fear the Walking Dead right now, after the first half of season 4, I feel like it doesn't have kind of that group identity there, so that we can kind of see, like, okay, it feels like everyone's kind of got their own kind of deal. Morgan wants to go back to Alexandria. Al wants to go around and interview people for her because she thinks it's her job or her purpose or something. Yeah, the others don't know what they're doing. Alicia just wants to be left alone. Charlie is feeling guilty, so she wants someone to kill her. Maybe not as guilty now because she's with Alicia there, and Alicia's decided not to kill her, so she feels like she's been given a pass, and it's okay, and she deserves to maybe live or deal with the guilt and live on further. But it just really feels like the show is kind of in disarray right now. The group is in disarray, and before too long, hopefully, the group can kind of find themselves again. They can become something, and you can kind of have sort of a launching off point into what would be the future of Fear with some kind of direction in what this new group in Fear is going to be. That's kind of what I'm feeling about Fear the Walking Dead right now, the group, and kind of what we're seeing with these episodes right here. It really just feels to me like they need to kind of get back together and figure out their own group identity and figure out what they're going to do and what their mission is going to be, whether it's to go around and help people, and Morgan is the leader for that and decides that's what they should do, whether it's, to find a location where they can stay safe there where they're at, whether it's to try to head back to Virginia and be on the road. It's just kind of tricky to see, right? It's just a little bit tricky. So leave comments below. Let me know what you guys think. Let's get into some of your questions for this week and kind of thoughts and how you're feeling about the episodes, so we can give our thoughts and kind of all go together. And leave more comments below if you guys want to see another Q&A for Fear this week. I'd like to do at least one more after this one. Nickypoo 92 says, Trev, did you notice that AMC removed the season 9 trailer from their channel? What the frig, bro? So for the original Walking Dead, that's very strange. I decided I'd throw it in this one. That's very, very strange that they would pull down the trailer. Is it because, was it giving too much away about Rick? Is it something you could break down? You could see scenes of Rick's death in it, maybe. Is that why they took it down? Why did they post it to begin with and put all those things in it? Did they feel like it was giving too much away, so they brought it down afterwards? Did they post it and kind of hype the season and then take it down because they didn't want us to know too much about it? But it's like, other sites have re-uploaded it. It's out there. It's very strange they would take down the Walking Dead trailer. Very, very, very strange. But we'll see why that is. Maybe it's because they felt like it was giving a little bit too much away with regards to Rick and could have been kind of easily broken down to see that, it may feature Rick's death sequence or something of the sort. TheeDeputy says, one of the weaker episodes of the whole series for episode 10 of Fear the Walking Dead. And I feel you, and that's one of the things like about that episode too. It just has Alicia and Charlie, that's it. It's not as good as the Alicia episode from season 3 where she's stuck in the cellar and the air's running out, and it's really like an awesome horror type episode, and they were doing a lot. Fear the Walking Dead feels really strange to me in this back half so far. And I'm wondering about the budget as the biggest thing, because I know they did quite a bit of stuff in the first half of season 4, but I'm also wondering what kind of budget is AMC giving Fear the Walking Dead, because these two episodes, the mid-season premiere and then this one here, it just really felt like there wasn't much to them, right? And this is kind of the, I didn't hate the episodes. You guys saw my reviews on them. I like both episodes. They're fine. But, in terms of comparing it to the first half, they did a lot of stuff in that first half. And I don't know if it was really expensive to do and they blew out their budget. So now in this back half, it's a bit like season 4 of the original Walking Dead, where it's like they did Too Far Gone. They had a tank. They blew up the whole damn place. And now after that, they have to kind of throttle back a bit and have some bottle episodes and have some stuff like that because they already spent a huge portion of their budget in the first half of the season, and that kind of feels like that's what we're seeing with Fear the Walking Dead right now. Is it seems very small time compared to some of the stuff they do in the original Walking Dead series. Like if you look at season 8 of The Walking Dead, I mean that season was huge. You had tons of characters, you had lots of different communities, you had lots of big scenes with tons and tons of zombies, and Negan and Rick going at it, Rick chasing them down, and all kinds of crazy stuff they did in the original Walking Dead show. I'm sure that must have cost a goddamn fortune compared to what this episode would cost. If you look at episode 10, what do you need? You pay Alicia, you pay Charlie, you get the house, right? You get the old house, rent the place out or whatever to be able to flood it and do all the stuff they had to do, practical effects and all that stuff. Some extras for zombies, some effects for the weather, and, that's pretty much it. Compared to some of the bigger episodes they've done, even in season 3 of Fear, compared to some of those episodes, it really just feels like they didn't put that much into it. It really felt a lot like Still, or one of those episodes where you just have a couple of characters and just kind of surviving and doing their thing. And I like the episode from a character perspective. I thought it was good in terms of that for Alicia and for Charlie. So I'm not hating on the episode or saying I thought the episode was terrible. I'm just questioning, what's Fear the Walking Dead going to be? And what it is going to be what it is, right? Is it going to be just like kind of an additional show there where you have Morgan, you have the others, and it's kind of small time? Because The Walking Dead became pretty big. I mean, you had big communities, lots of characters, lots of zombies. Like, look at season 6 of the original Walking Dead series. Just fields of zombies everywhere, and rocket launchers and all kinds of stuff like this, right? And then if you look at a couple episodes like this in this back half of Fear the Walking Dead season 4, it's like what kind of budget did they give to Fear? Are they just not giving them much to work with? And then there's not a whole lot they can do. They have to do kind of a few of these kind of lower episodes, because next week's episode 2 with Morgan coming up, episode 11, it doesn't look that big time either. It looks like there's a few survivors here and there, which, it makes sense for a zombie apocalypse at this point in time, many years later, that you might not run into that many people, but it just, it doesn't feel big time like a lot of the seasons of The Walking Dead do, where you have so many characters, so many locations, and so much stuff happening all at once. It just really feels right now. And the first half of season 4 did feel pretty big time for Fear. For Fear standards, it was pretty good in terms of what they did. They had quite a bit there. But this half, just kind of feels like, they're going through, but they're not bringing that much to the table at once. Season 3 of Fear, was really all the way through the season. They're bringing lots each episode, I thought. Taylor Giavasis says the first to get knocked out by mud. The show is a comedy now. So the whiplash knockout from the one. I mean, a few people complained about that. Yeah, it's true. She falls down, she gets hit by a gust of wind or whatever. She loses control and hits her head or whatever. But it doesn't take that much to, if you fall back and you hit your head the right way, it could happen. You look at sports and things like that, and sometimes guys will go down, and it's not. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's not a perfect knockout type situation, but it's just for Charlie to help her and that kind of thing, and for them to kind of bond a little bit more, right? So is what it is. Let's see. FC Schaeffer said, despite some great character development, this was still a bottle episode. I'm not sure if he put still in there on purpose, right? But it was a bottle episode, and it looks like next week's episode will probably be somewhat the same. So I don't know why that is. I don't know if they just did a lot of stuff in the first half, and this is kind of what they want Fear to be. Because it depends, like if you're going to put a lot into a series, then obviously you're going to expect it to do better. But if you're kind of thinking like, okay, this is what it's going to be, and we'll just put a little bit, because you got to think of it this way, guys. Think of it like how I'm saying it here. Do you think season 9 will get the same budget as Fear? No way. You know what I mean? Like season 9 of The Walking Dead is going to get a way bigger budget than Fear, so it's going to really limit what they can do. And I just think to season 3 of Fear, and I think like, man, they did so much in that season. How could they afford to do that all when you look at a season like this and you start to see like, there's not all that much going on right now. It's tricky to see. So I guess it really depends what they want Fear to be, right, and what they give them to work with. WojTech 5739G says, bring back Madison. It's like it's over, man. It's over, man. Madison is dead. But I did like in this episode how they kind of, they haven't really spent much time kind of having the characters kind of reflect or react to Nick and Madison and that. And one good thing about this episode I liked a lot with episode 10 is that they at least addressed it. They didn't act like, oh, it's just over and whatever and that's it. You know, there's going to be those skeletons in the closet. There's going to be, and for Alicia here, you know, with Charlie, skeleton in the closet, it's you know, she's going to have some baggage after losing Nick and after losing Madison, and she's not going to be feeling that good a lot of time because that's her mom and that's her, you know, brother, and obviously, you know, they were together all this time throughout the zombie apocalypse, surviving and prior. So, yeah, at least they didn't kind of just kill off those characters and then never address it again. They are getting their mileage out of those character deaths, I suppose. It's just that group is going to have to find its identity now that Madison is gone. I feel like, you know, Morgan's going to have to kind of take over. Otherwise, it's just in kind of disarray. So, one more. Jay Morris, the review guy, says, I thought Charlie was going to take Carol's comic book death for a moment. I don't know about you. So, feed herself to a zombie, that kind of thing. Well, you know, I kind of felt that way. But then again, for my death predictions for this half, if you guys saw that video for this half of Fear, they have such few characters, man. You know, there's such few characters. How can you kill off almost anybody? And I'm sure we'll see at least one character death before the end of this season, you know, in these last several episodes here. But, you know, how can you do hardly any? Because you just have such few characters that you got to build these new characters. And they're doing a pretty good job of that. But at the same time, it's like, you know, you don't have that many to work with, so you gotta kind of rebuild up Fear after all the stuff that's happened and all the deaths and stuff. I almost wish they would have kept Troy alive after season 3 of Fear, or some of those other characters from season 3. They could have maybe kept through. Maybe they have Salazar return or something. That would help a bit, just to kind of bolster, just to give you more to work with, because there's just not that much for them to work with right now in terms of characters and maybe budget too. I don't know. So, and I'm not really complaining or saying like I've been hating these episodes of Fear. No, I've been enjoying them. They're fine. It's just that you know, it is what it is. It's kind of obvious that they're not, you know, putting that much into it right now. It's just like, you know, it's there. It's what it is. But we'll see what this finale looks like. Who knows? Maybe they're saving for the finale or something, and it'll be a big finale. So we'll see. Anyway, that'll be it for this video, guys. If you liked it, please don't forget to thumb it up below. You can like it. You can also share. You can favorite. And if you're new and you want to subscribe, bottom left to subscribe. Send me questions if you guys want to see another Q&A this week for Fear. I'd like to do one. And that's it for this one, guys. We'll see you again soon for another. As always, this is Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.